Yes. I grew up with a family of seven brothers and sisters and my parents. And during those times, I was born in 54. During those times, um, community involved people that was biological, people were foster, um, people who had various disabilities. We all ran, all our families had not just the mother and father, but we supported each other in so many different ways, different challenges. And so I grew up like that, with people with different abilities, different challenges, and it was normal for me. As time went on, we went on to, I went on and got got involved with, got a job that I stayed for 27 years. I had other jobs, but the major job was working with the United States Customs Service as a inspector at the airports, railroads, and I did that for 27 years. I had a wife, two, two sons. I had a daughter as well. And we've we had our challenges as a family. There was illnesses, our families, and we just dealt with it. Eventually, as time went by, my wife and I got a divorce. She had challenges that I had no idea what was going on, physically and emotionally and mentally, and I didn't know what was going on. So I had to continue to raise my sons. One went on to college, was going in college at the time, and my wife passed. I was taking my younger one to see her, and she was gone. So I had to continue to move on. What my wife had that I cared for, I didn't realize what was going on. And if I could mind all our directions, but she was bipolar. Okay. So when we came, and she had other physical issues going on with her as well. But she was a special person. And so it gave me time to think and had no idea what was going to happen to me in the future because all that during that time I could see. When I was driving right now, my son was about 11 at that time when his mom's passed. He was about 3 or 4, if I got it right. And around 11, he was about 11, and I don't know why I was out, but I was out. He was home. There was something happened. A car came through a light bulb. Through a road that I was driving on, and it was a stolen van, and it hit one car. I was passing that car. That car hit me. I bounced off a parked car to my right, went back to the other side of the street on the left, hit a light pole. That light pole fell and crushed me in. Thank God nobody else was there. I had a broken back, broken ribs, contusion to the head, and lacerated liver, and my heart had stopped. They cut the pole off of my car. They took it off my car and cut me out the car and flew me to University Hospital, where they bandaged me up, but I could see fully. And then they took me out of ICU after about 10 days. I was walking around upstairs. All of a sudden, they're asking me, look over here, look over here. and I didn't know why. What had happened was they brought me back down into ICU because my heart had stopped again, and that's why they were saying look to your right and look to your left. And then all of a sudden my family's around me, and the doctor told me that I would not be able to see again. And he said that I wouldn't see because my heart stopped again, and whenever your blood pressure goes down too low or too high, it can affect any nerve in your body. And it affected my optic nerve. So I have ischemic optic neuropathy, a stroke in my eye, and my nerves are separated from my brain. My eyes have separated. So I couldn't figure it out. I did not accept it initially because the rest of my body was healing, and I knew it. So I knew I was going to see again. About 2 months later of going through rehab, now I finally go home. And I'm coming home, and I walked in the door, and that's when my true breakdown came in. Is when I walked in the door and realized, how am I going to do anything on the other side of blindness? Just completely dark. How could you live that way? So, how am I going to raise my kids? My oldest son came home from college. My family, my brothers and sisters, they all were supporting the best they can, my parents. But they didn't know what to do or how. They helped the best they can. And during that time, I think they were searching out for resources and help for me. While I was home with my boys, my daughter was living somewhere else, but she did call. My sons was around me, and my young one, we all prayed. We prayed all the time, and especially during that time. My younger one said, I just want my father to see again, so he'll be with me in my sports and school and my education and just being out. And I had no idea that affected him. And I said, how long have you been thinking about this? He said, ever since I told him I wasn't going to go outside again. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you, God answer your prayers. I don't know if I'm going to see you again. I hope I do. But I'm stepping outside these doors. I'm going to learn what I need to learn so I can be with you. Right now, my son does not live with me. My oldest son does not live with me. My daughter does not live with me because God answered his prayers. I stepped out so they could live their lives. And I learned what I needed to learn. I hooked up with a woman in the Commission for the Blind named Pamela Gasson. Had no idea that she worked there, but I was searching for help. When I called and she would answer the phone, she knew who I was because I graduated high school with her. I graduated with her in 72. Pamela Gasson, with her in 72. I got in a car accident in 1999. So how many years was that? 27 years later, I run into her. Who would have known? And she directed me because she could see, she saw all what was going on in the commission. She knew the direction I was going, what I needed to go. So whatever she said do, I did. She said jump, I said how high? She said I need to do this, I needed that. I need to go to this, I need to be around people, I need to. And so I saw a lot, I joined a lot of things. That's how Beyond the Eyes got started, because she's the one that directed me where there was all men in a room who were blind and visually impaired of different levels of life. And she said, I need to go in that room. And all these men of business, men were hanging out, still hanging in the street, men, and we all supported one another. And we were African-American male support group. Eventually, ladies came from, they had their own group, and once we bonded together, we became beyond the eyes. And we started encouraging each other in their various situations, whether it be personal or not. And we just encouraged each other and found resources for each other, and just a lot of encouragement in that community. As time went on, we started not just talking about our personal issues, but we started having events. We had Gil Noble at our group. We had Susan Venino, who was at that time, she was just helping the groups get on the bandwagon, just getting organized and saying what was going on at Commission for the Blind. I was on Consumer Advisory Board, the New Jersey State Rehab Commission. I think that's the name of it. But all these, I just tried to find out as much as I can for me and for us and for anybody. And because I was dealing, when I was younger, with people with various various levels of disabilities, when I was younger, I felt like I was made for it. And I do think that there's a bond, even though people are visually impaired or have their community, there's a lot of similarities as far as isolation, discrimination, and loneliness, and misunderstanding in all disabilities. And that's where we could come together. The reason why I reach out and stop into groups, whether they be political advocacy groups, whether they have disabilities or not, because I think we need to be included at the table in the conversation. If they don't come to us, we should come to them, go to them, and just be involved. And so that's about it. You know, I believe, and I do believe, let me say one thing, I do believe people with disabilities are all over the place. For some reason, it's not spoken about enough, and that bothers me. I just found out that Harriet Tubman, I've been saying it for a couple of months now, had a disability. She was vision impaired, and she had seizures. I believe it was epilepsy. Who would have known that? And what I did a search when Pam was here. She passed now. I did a search on Black History Month on black people famous, considered famous, who had disabilities. Found out Malcolm X had dyslexia. Who would have known that? And so many others. Isaac Woodard. He was a lieutenant during World War I, I believe, and he was coming home. You know, all the black soldiers was on this bus. They were coming home. He wanted to go to the bathroom. They had this Caucasian private who was driving the van, and they were all happy and, you know, proud that they fought for their country. They knew they would have freedom now. They could be respected now. Isaac Woodard got up and said, I need to go to the women's room. Can you pull over when you see something? He said, nigga, go sit down. Now he's talking to an officer. He says, who are you talking to? And I forgot what he said, but it was a bell even during them days where he was able to alert, I believe it was South Carolina police. So next thing you know, there was troopers up front. They came on, they said, what's the problem? And he pointed Isaac Woodard out. He took him off the bus. They took him off the bus, brought him in the back of the shed, and beat him with bully clubs in his face and blinded him. That went on well, I forgot the president during that time, but later on, President Truman came in. Because they went to court, the city, the local, state, all the way up to the top. And he lost every single time. But two Supreme Court justices had dissented that there should be fairness and segregation should be not the land of the law. They kept it, but President Truman came in thereafter, and because of that, they fought it. What happened? Two people who wrote down all that information when they did this, they changed it their way, and that's why there is integration during that time. Civil rights era came in. I had no idea that I don't hear history like that.
Right.
So that's why I believe that we should educate each other, especially our younger kids, because as disabilities aren't going nowhere. People are different, whether it be cognitive or they have other dysfunctions in their body, whether it be functional or not. It doesn't matter. They should know our history so they can say, oh, well, that shouldn't stop me. Every time I hear about a person, let's put it on me, but it happens a lot. I was ashamed to be a blind. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want my brother was driving me somewhere, and he was going to a parking lot, and he said, "Oh, can we park there? Because he's blind." That was a gut punch to me, because he never identified me as blind, and more people started. Now, I don't care. But if I would have known that people were before me, and that especially black people, they rose above that, I would have probably brushed off the being ashamed quicker. I would have been involved quicker. But I didn't know a lot of stuff, and most of us don't. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people don't. So that's my charge, is to bring more equality and knowledge and get out there with people who are not used to being around people. And I'm going to tell you this last thing I got to say is sometimes going and stay with other groups that I'm involved in, they can see. It's traumatizing at times, because I have to say the same. I could do this. I could walk the street. I have devices. I could do this and that. And they, no matter what they see or hear, they still are. They still. How can I say? They're still nervous. They still don't believe. They still don't know. So I sometimes I back up. Then I get involved again. Then I back up again. And I get involved again. So I'd rather be around people in my community who understand, who could interact with me easier, and I could interact with, and I listen to them, and they listen to me, and I don't care what their disability is. For some reason, I have a little bit more peace, a little bit more confidence, a little bit more assurance when I'm on people who can identify with issues that I go through. And for some reason, my gut feeling, Marcus, is that a lot of people have see it the way you can see mine.
Right. Yes. Wow. Now, wow. I must say that your journey is a compilation, I would say, of most people at least a part of what they have gone through. Because I see your journey as being one that is complete, where you started out one way, just like what everybody would call normal, and you were holding a job, you were doing everything that we would consider normal people to do before your sight, your vision is compromised. And when you realize that and you said you had the breakdown, I understand that too. You know, being under vision loss myself, I understand how those thoughts come to you, because what you're used to doing is no longer the way that you do things. And the courage that it took you to take the strides that you took in order to say, this is not going to stop me. I'm still going to go out. I'm going to be around people. I'm going to interact with people. I'm going to get involved in groups, organizations, with communities, and then to be with Beyond the Eyes and basically watch it as it came together, where both men and women who were visually impaired came together to support one another and to be like a shoulder to each other. You know, like, hey, you can lean on me, I can lean on you. You have resources, I'm going to listen and learn. You have devices, you have technology, you have people over here who can guide in certain directions, give information, and all the other things. So would you say that it was almost like being a student once again, but in like a different school? Would you say that it was like that?
Definitely. And you're always in class. I've been blind for 25 years, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning, and we learn, like you said, we learn from each other. So that's important, and you know that, I'm sure.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, with Beyond the Eyes, as you stated, it started out first. Well, it wasn't Beyond the Eyes first. It was a group of men who were all visually impaired.
African American males.
African American men who were visually impaired, but you all were there to support one another. And from there, how did the other group of women come together with the group of men that you were already a part of to form Beyond the Eyes support group?
Well, we were at the Joseph Cone, Rehabilitation Center in New Brunswick, and we were in one room. Mary Ann Masonette, who was the counselor for the Commission for the Blind during that time, she saw that black men were not getting together, meaning that they were not staying within the rehab center, getting the resources that they need. So she figured, well, what if they all come together and encourage each other to get the resources? So that's when African American males, but she didn't just start with African American males. She got women with a new vision. They started in another room, and then she started I forgot what the other group was, but she started a few groups. And so every once in a while, we bonded together. We didn't just have our separate group, males and women over there. Every once in a while, we all got together and shared with each other. Once that started happening, for some unknown, well, I know what the reason is. The powers, the people who ran that facility the director at that time said that we would have to leave, that find another group, another place, because this is not a church. So I had to, talk to him and try to see if I could change his mind. And that just didn't work out. So we found another place. At that time, we bonded and we became one. And it was a good thing. It was a good thing that we became one, because we have more resources, more direction, and we all had the same issues anyway. So why not men and women get together? So that was good. That was a good thing. Okay. And that's when Beyond Your Eyes became as one.
Okay. Cool. One moment, please. If you have background noise and you're unmuted, let me just ask you if you could please mute while we have the interview going on. We're going to do Q&A soon, but please mute your phone if you're not speaking, because we're picking up your noise in the background and this is being recorded. Thank you. All right. Also, okay, so Jim, well, I call you Jim,
Yeah, anybody call me Jim James. Don't call me late for dinner. That's right.
Don't call you out the room when we're serving. That's right. So, another question I guess I would like to ask you, so that the listening audience can hear. With your new way of doing things after, your incident where you lost your vision,